how I manifested instantly. Is it actually possible to manifest fast, instantly, right away? Manifest right away. I do believe it is. And I do believe that because I did it, and I want to share in this video 3 different examples with you. For me, when I think about them, I think that's kind of magic, but that's how we can live our life. So if you want to dive with me into the energy of manifesting instantly, then I'll share these things, these 3 things, episodes, whatever you want to call it, the 3 things that I manifested. I'm sharing those with you, but I'm also going to share a couple of insights why I do believe that it was possible for me to experience this magic. So let's just run into it. And this is a new channel. It's a new channel, still a very small channel. So if you just get a little bit out of this video, I would really appreciate if you want to give it a like. And also feel free to join the community. Just hit the subscribe and hit that bell so you'll see when there's a new video. All right. So 3 different things that I manifested that I do think is kind of magical. The first thing was my acting career, and that's actually one of the latest things too. And the second thing that I want to share with you is how I met a wonderful woman and how crazy it was that that happened. And the third thing is how I manifested, I think it was around $200,000 when it seemed to be impossible. So I'm going to share those 3, how it happened with you. And then after, I'm going to share with you why I believe that it was possible to do that. For me, I was reflecting on it, so I want to do more of these things, and I want to share it with you so you can experiment with the same thing. And I'm also going to share with you because I created a manifestation masterclass. It's a free community with some very powerful things that help me and help my clients too, but it's free. I'm going to share in a couple of minutes here, a little bit later, I'm going to share with you how you can join us. So the 3 things. See, the acting career, this I think is a bit crazy. I'm going to share how that happened. After some years, I had maybe you've seen it in another video, but I created a quite successful business, and I sold it. I created a successful coaching business, and then I ran into a relationship with a very beautiful woman, and I thought it was the woman of my life, and it ended up being maybe the toughest period of my life, because after 5 years I found out she had another man, and it was a devastating time. And I took some years off after that time to really dive into healing myself, releasing all the traumas that I do believe created that experience with this woman. And after these years, I was sitting with a good friend of mine, and we were talking, and he asked me, okay, Michael, what do you want to do now? And I said, I don't know. I really didn't know, because I just sat with myself and enjoyed life. I was being very, very quiet. I was enjoying my life. And he said, but Michael, my friend, amigo, if you were to do something, just anything, what would that be? And I don't know where this came from, but I maybe know it anyway after reflecting a little bit on it. And it just came out of my mouth. I say, okay, then I'm going to be in a movie. And my friend, he was like, he lit up. And I was just, wow. His energy was so positive around that I was kind of like inspired by his energy. And he said, okay, Michael, and this is true story. He said, Michael, you will then be a bad guy in a movie. I see it, he said. And that energy was kind of like, wow, for me. So what happened next? We spoke a little bit about it. I was being a little bit excited about his energy. I went to bed. I didn't think about it. The day after, it came to my mind, okay, how do you become an actor? So I Googled that in my language, and I read a couple of websites around it. I was like, no, it's too complicated. I have to go to school and things like that. But then I found there was this Facebook group. I think there were around 90,000 people in the group. I didn't do anything. I just requested to join the group. I didn't put anything in the group or anything at all. And I didn't think more about it. Then, like 4 hours later, the phone rang and there was this older woman saying that she saw my profile in this group. True story, remember this is true story. She saw my profile in this group, 90,000 people in the group. And she said, you know, Michael, we have a position for a documentary we are doing on one of the biggest channels in the country here. Would you be interested? And I said, you know, I have no experience. I just signed in. And she said, yes, but we do believe that you would fit this. And I said, okay, interesting. So what is it? And it was a documentary about Hells Angels president in Denmark. And he was kicked out of Hells Angels, you know, the motorcycle club. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And I told her about the experience with my friend the day before, and told her that he said that I was to be a bad guy in a movie, and we laughed. I laughed with this woman around it. I was like, okay, this is interesting. So I told her, okay, so what am I going to do in this documentary? And here comes even more funny parts. She said, you know what, you're the only guy in the documentary. I said, what do you mean, there's women too? Or no, you're the only person in there. I said, so what am I going to do? Well, you will be the president of the Hells Angels. True story. And I said, no, this cannot be right. And I said, let's do it. So, and it was a couple of days after, and I went to do this documentary. It became like a 20-minute documentary with only me in it. And I never tried being on television or anything like that before. I've been on television a couple of times with the company, but not with this. And I actually really enjoyed it. And so we were to do different things that this guy, when he was kicked out, and I had to drive a very luxury car, and I drove to Sweden, which is close to where I live, it's just over the bridge here. And I had an amazing experience. And that was how I started. This is like 2.5 years ago now, maybe close to 3 years. So I did a couple of extra, you know, like an extra in some TV series and a couple of movies in my country. And I really enjoyed it. But also I was very lucky. So I had a couple of scenes where I was actually speaking. I had a couple of scenes where I was actually doing something with the head, the main role. And people were like, how come you're so lucky? And I said, I really don't know. It's just like, it's interesting. So after like 6 months with being an extra, I was like, okay, maybe I should try to dive more into this and become an actor. And same thing happened. So in the last 2 years now, I had a couple of roles, small roles in national TV, but more important, I'm close to having 30 roles in short movies. Like movies like 15 minutes or something. And I even had like 7 main roles in short movies. So, and I didn't go to school. I didn't go to acting school. This was like a street learning. I was just learning movie by movie, learning new stuff. And like, maybe you also know this from another video, but I was very not confident most of my life, even though I've been a business leader and I created some big businesses, but I grew up being a very not confident guy. So for me, stepping in front of a camera, doing lines and speaking and doing different scenes have been very growth for me. It's been a lot of growth. But that was the first one. That was kind of like how I manifested my acting career, like instantly. Second one is how I met this woman. I'm going to do this very quick, but I was like, I had this inspiration I think it was a day, and I was like, okay, I really want to meet this smiling, I'm a single guy, I want to meet this smiling woman that just like I can have some very good time with. The day after, true story too, and it felt like really good. And the day after, I went to do my morning gym, and from there I was inspired to go to the beach. I do that, so there's nothing different from that. I went to the beach, and on the way home from the beach, normally I take one route, but then I forgot something in my gym. And I had to go back to my gym. And I had even one friend I met at the beach. He followed me, and we stood in front of the gym and just spoke for maybe a minute. And I said goodbye to him, and I went into the gym, came back with my stuff, and I took the other route home. So different things, you could call it synchronicities, that led up to what I'm sharing with you now. So I walked, and then I walked by a corner of a kindergarten. It's just in my neighborhood. I walk there every day. And I'm just like 2 meters after the corner. And behind me comes something very fast. And I look like this, and there's a bike. Very normal in my country. But on the bike, there's this beautiful smiling woman. And she's just stopping by me. And she said, "Whoa, I'm a little too late here." And I'm like, "That's interesting. Are you working here?" And she said, "I just work in the kindergarten. I never saw her before." She was late, and I wouldn't go that route normally. My friend speaking with him, things led up to this. We stood talking for a couple of minutes, and it was just like great energy. So I had to say, I invited her out to take a morning dip in the water, and she was into that, and we spent some amazing time together. So that's number 2, how I manifested instantly. The third one, and again, is synchronicities. It's so amazing. Like I say, it's kind of like magical. How can this happen? But I'm going to share my insights with you. The third one here is how I manifested around $200,000 US dollars. So I owned a bit of property in UK, and during the pandemic, what's that? Anyway, you know what I mean. During the whole thing where everything was locked down, the owners had a letter from the admin saying that we probably would run into a big problem, and it might even be that we have to come up with some more money or it would go bankrupt. It was a gym at that time in the UK. The property was rented out to a gym. And we were only like 8 people. And I felt at that moment that, oh no, not again. Because like you maybe know, I was in a $1.5 million debt at a point in my life after the financial crisis and my owning of properties. So when I got the news about the UK property, I was like, not again. And I felt the pain in my stomach, and I was like, no, I just came out of all of this, not again. And that's really how I felt. So, but the admin promised they would do whatever they could. They would try to sell it, but we should maybe we would have to pay some money to make all of this work out. So that's also true, and that's what happened. And I had a period where I was like, oh no, not again. But something inside of me shifted. And something inside of me was like, no, it's gonna be solved. I'm even gonna make money on this. And when that shift happened, it was just like a shift inside of me. I felt the difference from the pain and from the fear of losing or maybe even being close to bankrupt again. And then I felt the shift, the relief, the release, okay, this is gonna work out somehow. Something is gonna be good here. And very quickly after that shift, I think it was a day or 2 after that, I got a letter from the admin that now the property they were in negotiation of selling the property. So we had to sign that we would sell it, and they couldn't promise anything. We signed it, and not very long after, maybe 1 week or something, we got a letter, the owners. I got a letter saying that, well, everything is done, and we even got more money than we expected. And the end of that deal was that I ended up with $200,000 in my bank account from that deal. So that's the 3 different manifestation, how I manifested instantly. 3 different things. And my learnings, I promised you my insights here, because I was just sitting and reflecting about this. I was sitting and reflecting, what was it that happened? Because when you agree agreed that it would be perfect and wonderful if we could manifest like that fast and quick and do it as much as possible. I would like that. So here are my insights here. The first thing is that I really followed the inspiration. It was not like I didn't plan it. I planned a lot of things in my life. My mind is love to plan. But these things, I didn't plan it. It was just something coming out of me. It was just some kind of inspiration, and then it happened. I just followed the inspiration. And the second thing was that I also took the action, right? So, and even though it wasn't a big action, you know, the acting career, it was just, I spent, I don't know how much I spent, maybe 20 minutes, that was it. But some synchronicities brought me into that documentary, brought me into the whole world of acting and all of this. And the woman thing, it was kind of me, just, I didn't even think about it as inspiration. I was missing something in the gym, and I was like, okay, I had to do that, had to go and get it. And the friend talked like a minute or whatever it was, that just happened. But I was just in the flow of that. It wasn't like, okay, I'm gonna meet that beautiful smiling woman. It wasn't like that. It just happened. It just happened. And the same thing with that property, right? And then the third thing is the shifting, because what I realized is that, I don't know about you, and feel free to comment below, but if I am in a bad mood or bad energy or negativity, it happens to me too, happens to every people, I think. But when I'm in that state, normally not a lot of great things are happening. While when I feel good, when I'm in some kind of flow, when I feel empowered, when I'm like, okay, life is great, these things are happening. So, and it's not like if I force it, it's gonna work. I tried to force it and I ended up with the $1.5 million debt. So it's more like shifting from the limiting beliefs, shifting from the limiting emotions or energies, and into something just better, greater. Life is great. Easiness. So there was actually 3 things. There are a little bit more things, but I think that was the most important, that when I reflected on it, and I really just wanted to share it with you here, because like I said, how I manifested instantly, that was instantly. So as I asked in the beginning, is it possible to manifest fast? Is it possible to manifest quickly? Is it possible to manifest instantly? I believe it is. I have many of these stories in my life, and probably you do too. And I would actually ask you, if you are up to this, post in the comment 1 or 2 or more, something that happened to you where you manifested instantly, because it's a great energy and we can like inspire each other with this energy. So I hope this helped and hope this inspired you. And then I promised you to just tell you a little bit about this manifestation masterclass. See, this was also something I was inspired to do. Starting this channel, speaking about manifestation, and also myself learning about manifestation and keeping myself in the energy of manifestation, right? So I was inspired to create this channel, and from there I was inspired to create this community, the masterclass, the manifestation masterclass. It's a free community. So I put in some manifestation foundation trainings, mindset shift, and also the emotional releasing things, the things that I've used myself, and then some of the internal things that I looked into, science-based. How is it that we actually do manifest our reality? So you can get inspired by that or follow the exercises and actually manifest the life, manifest your dream life. So if you want to read more about it and you want to click and join us, there's a link below this video. I hope this inspires you, and look forward to see some comments, and lots of love.